Hello, my name is John Deedy, professor of political science at the community colleges of Baltimore County and local political media analyst. Welcome to the Maryland State Politics and Government podcast on Substack. Today I'm talking with candidate for Anne Arundel County Executive, James Kitchin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
My first question is, how's the campaign going?
I feel really good. The campaign is going well. We have come a long way since we launched a year ago. We are, as you know, and hopefully lots of the residents in Anne Arundel are already aware of, we are the first campaign for any office, and the only one running for county executive using the county's public campaign financing system. And so it has been a long journey, but a really exciting one. And that message has landed. So we have done lots of work. We have raised our money in grassroots ways where we've not taken any special interest money. And we've raised enough resources to compete and feel really good about where we're at. So we've raised over $500,000 through the system. Again, not an all small dollar donations, not taking any special interest money at all. So we've been able to go up with, commercials on streaming devices. We've got a couple mailers that are going to be coming. We have the teacher's endorsement, and again, just a network of volunteers and donors that go countywide, but feel really good.
Thinking when you're talking about raising money and spending money in mailers, because recently one of your opponents I've gotten a lot of mailings from.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I think it's politically brilliant, clever, et cetera, because on, Picard's mailings, you have her name, but you also have it's being paid for by the Elthworth campaign.
Yeah.
Does things like that make it a little more difficult when running because of the fact that you've got to now deal with someone else getting involved in your race, helping them kind of offset campaign expenditures and things like that. And then you got to kind of go out and try to raise money too.
Yeah, so look, I'm honestly just not that focused on what Pickard's doing or who is helping her. I am proud of the slate of endorsees that I have as well. So I've been endorsed by County Executive Pittman. He is out of anyone in this county, he is the one that understands this job the best, and he trusts me to step in and to do it. I've been endorsed by Councilwoman Lisa Rodvian, who has worked for a couple terms with both of my opponents that are council members that are running. She's worked with them closer than almost anyone, and she's on my team instead of theirs. And so I'm proud of my endorsements. Other people have their endorsements. I always knew that using public financing, we would be outspent down the line. One of the things with doing public financing is I can't join a slate with other candidates and split costs in the exact same way. And again, we knew that. But in this county, there's a long history of people who have raised the most money getting beaten by people who have enough money to compete and have a better message. We always knew that was going to be our lane. I never thought that we would be the ones spending the most money down the line on this, but we have raised enough and we have enough resources to get our message out, and we frankly just have a better message. And so I'm very comfortable where we're at. I will give you one more example of that. The community college in Anne Arundel County recently did a survey, and amongst the people paying attention, our campaign was actually in the lead. So it was 38% for myself and then 32% for my opponents. That was before my two main competitors voted against the bill 2326, Lisa Rodvian's bill that would have banned developers from giving contributions while they have work pending before the county. That's gotten a lot of press and a lot of attention. And there are people, frankly, who have reached out to me and be like, hey, we thought we were supporting these other folks, but we are now supporting you because of your stance on special interest money. It just became clear. It was before my campaign went up with our first paid advertisements. And so, look, we've been outspent the entire time. And the most recent polling that I've seen had us in the lead, had us well positioned. And again, the things that have happened since that poll was in the field, I think have benefited myself. So I'm going to get outspent, but we have a better message and we have enough resources to get our message out too. And I am confident that the residents of Anne Arundel County are going to choose the person that they believe in, not the person who's just spent the most money.
Get the issues. You brought this up, so I want to ask kind of a little part of this. That is, you mentioned current Anne Arundel County and Democratic Party Chair Stuart Pittman's endorsement, but there's
Mhm.
still one big endorsement out there by one Anne Arundel County resident who's endorsed a lot of people, and that is Governor Wes Moore. How is the attempts to get that one coming along?
You know what I've been told is that he understands it's a very competitive race, and at least at this point in time has chosen to stay out of it. And we'll see how that goes. But again, I am focused on, especially at this point, 3 weeks out. I am focused on voter contact. We are knocking doors. We are making phone calls. We are doing outreach every single day. I am significantly more focused on that than I am on pending endorsements.
You mentioned the issue of development, and development is a huge issue because sometimes it leads to more people coming in, which is good, but sometimes it leads to too many cars, not enough pavement. It leads to infrastructure problems all over the place. And you
Yeah,
learn after a while, if you want to leave to go to Annapolis, don't try to go to Annapolis at 3 in the afternoon. It's just not going
right.
to be a good idea. What would you do as county executive to deal with this issue of development or overdevelopment in some cases, but also realize that a lot of people are looking to move here? And that's a good thing for the tax base.
No, it's a great thing. I grew up here, so I grew up in Anne Arundel County, graduated from our public schools. I left for about 10 years after high school, and then moved back like after I had started my own family. And my oldest was getting ready to start kindergarten because like this is where I wanted to raise my family. So I want people to move here. I want people who grew up here to have the option to stay. I want people who grew up here and leave for a bit for college or for work to have the option to come back. And so we need development to happen, but we need the right types of development to happen. We need the housing that our residents need. It needs to be less of the high luxury condos and high luxury homes on Riva Road that rent for place like prices, frankly, that the working people of this county just can't afford. So we need to be incredibly specific on when the building does happen, that it's the type of construction that benefits our residents or benefits the young people trying to move here. So that is one thing. It's just being more involved in targeting the type of construction that does happen. But there does have to be a balance, as you pointed out, with hey, we need to build, we need those homes, especially the affordable homes. But we also need infrastructure, and we need to make sure that the way we build the infrastructure, whether it's traffic, schools, keeps up with the pace of growth, and also that we're protecting our environment because that's such a huge piece of what makes this county special. I will tell you that I honestly believe it starts with public financing. It starts with not allowing the building lobby to buy all of the seats at the policy table. At the federal level, like we should not let the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies have all of the seats and determine the future of our healthcare system. That will not work out well for the American people. And at the local level, we can't let the building lobby have all of the seats at the policy table when it talks to how our county is going to grow and what's going to get built. To be very clear, I'm not saying that they can't have a seat at the table. They just can't buy all of them. You also have to have the environmentals at the table and just community members at the table, the people who are transportation advocates at the table. You need all of those perspectives. And right now, because of the way campaigns are funded, the development lobby can just buy outsized influence, and that's part of why we're going where we are. So the first thing I'd say to voters is if this is an issue you care about, I am fundamentally doing my campaign differently. And that's going to allow us to get in there and create different kinds of results. But there are things we can do on all of those that you mentioned, on traffic, on schools, that we can move the needle and make sure that we are changing the paradigm and growing in a way that works better for our communities.
The gold star endorsement, the big red apple from the
Mhm.
teachers union. What would you do as county executive as far as public education goes? And in two areas, there's always people who feel, oh, there's too much being spent there, but also there's people that feel we always have to do more to raise test scores. What is your plan for public education in Arundel County?
Yeah, so first off, I don't think it's just about test scores. I think if that's the only measure of student outcome we're looking at, then we're doing our entire education system a disservice. There's all kinds of different outcomes that we could be looking at. But for education, to me, it really is investing in teachers and other frontline educators that are spending time with our children in the classroom every single day. And so we do need to be open to looking at like, hey, how can we get additional funding to our public schools, especially in the context of the federal government dismantling the Department of Education and with some of the fiscal issues having happening at the state level. We have to be focused as a county on, hey, we have to hold the line and do what's right by our kids. And so need to have all of the policy tools at the table when it comes to funding. But even if we're just using the funding that we have right now, my perspective is how do we target that to help teachers do their daily job as best as they possibly can and make sure that every extra dollar we're spending, every dollar we're spending is having the biggest impact it can in classrooms.
One of the big crises the state of Maryland is facing is we're not growing our population. And what I mean by it is people are leaving the state. And Anne Arundel County is a great county to live in. As I mentioned, I live there. But property taxes, sometimes people look at this thing and there are major differences with a 90-mile drive where you could pay a lot less in property taxes. That's kind of one of the big things people look at. Let me give you ask thoughts about a couple things. First, a lot of jurisdictions are pushing for if you're a senior citizen, you paid enough. You shouldn't have to pay property taxes anymore. The other issue that has come up, of course, is property tax rates. Everyone always feels they're always going up. How would you like to comment on those two things?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Property tax rates, the rates are not always going up. The rate, especially in the county executive's proposed budget this year, is actually going down a little bit, right? And so it is a complicated issue because you can't just look at the rate. We have to understand that even if the rate holds steady, or even if the rate goes down a little bit, people are still paying more out of their paychecks because property values are going up. And so if you have the same rate on a home that is now appraising more, then you're going to be paying more in taxes, even if the government leaves the rates the exact same, right? So we have to look at the whole picture and how it is actually impacting the family budgets of our county residents and not just hyper focus on a rate. But I'd say a couple things there. I would love to figure out a way to give especially senior citizens a break on taxes. I think just not paying them probably is not in the near future, but potentially being able to lower or freeze property tax rates for senior citizens. But you're not going to be able to do that unless you can make that revenue up somewhere else. Anne Arundel County is still, we're about like this, I think the sixth lowest tax state or county in the state of Maryland. And so if you compare our tax rates to other major jurisdictions in Maryland, we are significantly lower. You are getting the best bang for your tax dollar in Anne Arundel County than you get anywhere in the state of Maryland. I firmly believe that. One of the things I think we could do that's creative is to go to the General Assembly and ask for the ability to do progressive property tax rates. And if you can do progressive property tax rates similar to how we went and got the authority to do progressive income tax rates, then there might be a way to play with these rates, maybe raise them on homes over, several $1 million, and be able to use that revenue to give breaks for seniors who are just trying to hang out in the home that they've owned for, 30, 40, 50 years. And so I think there are creative ways to look at it. It's a policy issue we need to explore, but it's a complicated one. But definitely, especially in this economy, like I understand how it's definitely crunching people's wallets.
You mentioned the idea of using progressive property tax rates. And I want to kind of give you an opportunity to explain that a little more because when people hear progressive and tax, they don't
Mhm.
think anything's going down.
No, well, I don't think I think that's a misnomer, the way you think about it, right? Because what a progressive tax rate means is that you are taxing at different levels. And so for some people, it is going down. So if your first $50,000 in income tax you make in Anne Arundel County is taxed significantly less than the next bit. And then it goes up, but only for people who are making over $400,000, right? And so a progressive property tax rate is actually a way to keep taxes down and lower for working people by asking the people who are making the absolute most to chip in a little bit more and pay a fair share. And so instead of charging a flat rate where someone making $50,000 is paying the same as $500,000, or someone living in a home that is worth $250,000 is paying the same flat rate as someone in a home that's worth $2.5 million. And so a progressive property tax rate is just that. It's saying, hey, for the people who need that relief the most, we're going to be able to, it's a tool where you can actually give it while saying the people who have the ability to chip in more are able to do that and it'll level out. But it actually is not just taxes going up. For the vast majority of people and for working people in this county, the ability to do a progressive tax rate means we can actually provide the relief that folks are looking for without being fiscally irresponsible and breaking the county budget.
Policy of the Pittman administration would you continue as county executive? And what brand new idea do you have that you would start as county executive?
Yeah, so there are a lot of policies of the Pittman administration that I would continue. A lot of them are in the environmental realm, and I do think need to could be even be strengthened more. I was very proud of our Forest Conservation Act that we passed early in the first term. It has helped a lot, but it did get watered down by the county council before it passed, and so we're not at a true no net loss in Anne Arundel County. But a lot of the focus on just making sure that we are preserving our green spaces and doing right by our environment, by our waters in the bay, is absolutely a policy area that I would continue. A new thing that I would want to do, which kind of relates earlier to the question you asked about just balancing growth and infrastructure, is I really do think that we need to pull traffic studies as developments happen in-house. Currently, traffic studies are paid for by the developer. The developer hires a traffic engineer. That traffic engineer puts the study together. They give it to the developer. Developer then takes it to the county as part of their application. But the person paying the folks setting up the study is the developer. The goal is to get a project through. I would love to take that in-house. It's not going to cost anyone any more money, but the developer pays the equivalent fee to the county. The county can then go contract out for the traffic study, but the person paying for the study, the person the engineer is now accountable to, is just the residents of Anne Arundel County. So the question flips from how do we set up a study to push a project through to how do we set up a study to just get the most accurate account of what the infrastructure is currently and what kind of improvements would be needed if this project were to go through. So little shifts like that, I think, could make a fundamental change in how we invest in infrastructure as we grow, and is a new thing that I would absolutely do.
Different traffic studies a little bit. It gets into another issue. This is a problem they're having in Baltimore County and starting to creep a little bit into Anne Arundel County. And that it's not people going 65 and a 55. They're okay. I'm okay with those people as a law-abiding speeder. It's the people going 60 in 40s and going excessively. There's been a situation last year where a lot of these, not even rural roads, subdivisions, minor communities, the mountain road area, etc., there is a lot of excessive speeding. In some jurisdictions, what they decided to do was lower the speed limits to get people to go slower. How do you look? Do you see this as a major problem in the county? How would you deal with a situation like this? Because as more people come into the county, people they're running 5 minutes late, so they're going to go 10 minutes faster.
Right. So it's absolutely an issue, and traffic safety really is a public safety issue. We actually have about four times more people die in Anne Arundel County every year in car accidents than we do in homicides, right? And so it is one of our largest areas there and needs to be treated as such. And I talk to families and communities all the time where they're just like, look, we just want our kids to feel safe playing in our neighborhoods. And the part of besides someone just being late is that the way we're built out, and you have like the main arteries and where our county of peninsulas, one road in, one road out, is oftentimes if there is an accident on that main road, like all your traffic is getting routed through our residential communities to get around where the traffic accident is. And so now you are more than 5 minutes late. You're probably going to be 20 minutes late because you're getting routed through. So you're speeding, and you're speeding through neighborhoods where kids are playing. And so it is absolutely a thing that needs to be addressed. Lowering the speed limit could help in some circumstances, but most people are going to drive just the speed that they feel comfortable driving. So it is more of a traffic infrastructure issue than it is like what's the posted speed limit issue. If you feel safe driving on the road because it's wide enough and it's straight and there's nothing there, like you're just gonna go as fast as you feel comfortable going. And so a lot of it is, can you put in traffic calming islands? We do speed bumps in strategic ways, but it is actually like engineering our streets in a way where people don't feel comfortable going that 45 miles an hour, like in a residential neighborhood.
Final question I'll ask is thinking about the campaign, what was your biggest WTF moment where you said, what the hell was I thinking?
What the hell was I thinking? Um, for me, it is actually the amount of time that as a candidate you have to spend away from home. And I will tell you, there was a time last fall, and I did not go to, there was a Thursday night, I think, maybe it was a Tuesday, but I did not go to any campaign events this night. I went to the stadium at Crofton High School, watched my daughter play soccer, and it was awesome. She was on the JV soccer team, and she actually at this game she scored her first goal of the season. It was a beautiful header off a corner kick, went up upper 90s. It was gorgeous goal. She's running back to midfield. She's like looks up and just like gives me a smile, and I'm sitting in the stands, and I'm like, this is exactly where I need to be. The next morning, I kid you not, I probably got 8 text messages being like, why weren't you at this event? Why weren't you at this event? Why weren't you there? Why? And I'm like, look, I was right where I needed to be last night. Like, I am a dad and still need to be able to invest time in my children too. So to me, I think the biggest WTF moment has been, wow, like we knew it was going to be a whole family sacrifice. Like my wife and I sat our kids down before I decided to run, made sure they were okay with it. But there have been times where that imbalance of working and then campaigning essentially full time also, and still trying to be present in your children's lives. You're like, WTF, what did I get myself into? But it's a season, and you can do anything for a season. We've got 3 weeks left in this primary race, and things will rebalance after that. And so, there are moments where we had those thoughts, but we are still committed. We're in it, and we're moving forward.
Fantastic. Thank you again for your time and good luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.